guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
8 ways Eurovision is rigged for Israel.
when did
Eurovision
they
is so
post
important
this?
to Israel and their
22 hours
public image
ago.
across the
Whoa.
world that last year their president got involved to make sure they wouldn't be excluded from the competition. That's how important Eurovision is for Israel. They want the world to see the pretty young woman sing about Israel's suffering. Palestine has no voice at Eurovision, but Israel does, and this is how they want you to see them. But fear not, for a group of brave and bold contestants last
A little biased video already.
I want it to be
the
fair.
first 30 seconds already coming off
Yeah.
biased. That's not a good sign.
year came together and promised they would stand for peace at the Eurovision Song Contest. Signatories included Ollie Alexander
Oh, what was that? Lithuania was there.
came
What was
together
this?
and promised they would stand for peace at the
Bambi Thug, Gote,
I remember
Orlando,
this.
Megara, Nemo, Ollie Alexander, Saba, Sylvester Belt, Windows 95. What is this for?
Eurovision Song Contest. Signatories
It
included
says-
Ollie Alexander, Bambi Thug, and even the eventual winner, Nemo. But did they manage it? Did they actually get any message across to the audience? Well, Portugal's Yolanda painted her nails in keffiyeh patterns, which you can actually
Yeah, they were
almost
standing against the participation of Israel.
Oh.
see if you go frame by frame in HD. After her performance, she called out, "Peace will prevail." Okay, maybe not the most effective protest, but a good effort. Bambi Thug, on the other hand, went so far as to write the words freedom for Palestine and ceasefire in an ancient medieval Irish alphabet that can only be read backwards, knowing that anyone out there who could read ancient medieval Irish would absolutely get the message. Except unfortunately...
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
That's me reaching here. Me reaching here. What?
Okay.
What? Okay,
wanted
nah.
to change the text to keep the contest apolitical, and Bambi Thug obeyed. So the medieval Irish speakers in the audience didn't get the message. But the audience did get another message. At the end of their song, they said, which, okay, isn't a super clear message about Palestine, but a few people might have known what that referred to, so thank you, Bambi. The UK's Ollie Alexander, in a BBC documentary about his Eurovision journey, was brought to tears over the cruelty of being asked to stand against genocide. Sure, the documentary may make peace activists seem like the villains of Ollie's journey, but that doesn't mean Ollie wasn't going to do the right thing on the Eurovision stage. In fact, at the contest, he said, "Thank you, Europe and Australia!" Nothing at all. He did and said nothing. Even when he had lost the contest horribly and had nothing left to lose, he said nothing. Luckily, one of the contestants who signed the peace letter actually won the contest. Switzerland's Nemo was the first non-binary person to win Eurovision, showing that this competition really is all about representing minorities and bringing people together. So more than any other contestant, Nemo really had a chance to spread the message of peace. When presented the award, they said,
I hope this contest can live up to its promise and continue to stand for peace.
wait, that's it? Yeah, that's really it. No one, no matter how anti-genocide they claim to
that
be,
was
managed to say
something.
a single word about Palestine, all the while selling themselves as the good guys of Eurovision 2024. And you know
I
what?
think if they were to say anything specific, it would get cut out.
Yeah, like what are they
Yeah.
supposed to do? I don't understand what you want from them. If they
I
start
guess
talking
they
about Palestine,
signed
they
that
would
they-
cut the video.
I think they signed something to say that they were in unity for the
And
for
I don't know what they
peace in
sound, but
Palestine.
they would get cut. The video would get cut. They would get fined. They would lose any future potential opportunities. They would
Yeah.
lose that. They would lose their career. Like what?
And we kind of see that these artists are like they're not established enough to
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
take that
Why do we
risk.
want them to be the sacrificial lamb
Yeah.
for something that's
But-
not their cause?
But I can see it also on the other hand too for contestants representing Israel. They're new artists, they're coming out and they are, put into the line of fire to represent a cause, and they have to stand with this cause, and even they are sacrificing their careers too as well, because it turns that this message that you're trying to promote is sticked onto you and no one's going to see anything past that or be interested into your music.
Okay, in a way, it makes sense. Eurovision had banned any reference
That's
to the
why
genocide. You weren't even
kind of partly feel like if your country is at war, you shouldn't be allowed to participate, because it's not even good for the artist, because no one's gonna see past the what's going on with your country. It becomes very, very, very political.
I mean, that's fair, but then the counter argument for that could be if participation allows to spread awareness that your country is at war, which what happened with Ukraine in 2022. And that's why they won, which is, again, it's unfair. I agree. So, I mean, you're not wrong.
Huh.
I do agree. I personally agree with what you said. I just think there's a counter argument to be made.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Because I do think we should take the politics out of this contest. That's singing contest. This is not a war awareness contest. But
Because is this the platform for? I don't know. I guess it is. If you they
you know,
it's up to them.
anything is a platform.
Yeah, I
to,
guess it
you
is
know,
their
yeah.
choice. But I don't know if it's my obligation to tell them that's how they should use their platform.
What do you mean?
Because people are giving criticism to Nemo, to Ollie, to all these people overall, to telling them how they should use their own platform. I don't think that is our place to tell them that. They have to choose to
Yeah.
do what they want to do ultimately.
allowed to bring in Palestinian flags. In
Because
fact,
to
you
me,
weren't
it's
even allowed to
quite
bring in
odd if you want to push for autonomy, but yet you're telling others what to do.
non-binary flags. As it turned out, Nemo had to sneak in their non-binary flag to show it in the green room right before winning. But, oh, hold on. If you were able to sneak in a flag, Nemo, my fellow human, why didn't you sneak in a Palestinian flag like Iceland did in 2019? It's almost as if all of these
Maybe because his cause is LGBTQ awareness and what
Yeah.
not Palestine, like priorities. Come on.
people had decided to put their careers
Or you
first
want him
and
to bring in 25 flags and just put
I
a
mean-
flag everywhere. Like,
ignore the
what?
fact that this contest was an instrument of genocidal propaganda. I mean, this is pathetic. This is humiliating. Did anyone really think these people were going to do the right thing on the Eurovision stage? Of course they weren't. Bambi Thug had barely any followers before Eurovision. They built their entire career on a brand of helping Palestinians at Eurovision while not actually saying anything on stage and totally ignoring the one
Okay, that is a little fucked up though. If you build a career and selling merchandise like this, that is fucked up. That is fucked up. Cause you see those arrows, whatever. That is what she had on her face with the words that
Yeah.
ancient Irish that we were supposed to understand.
request Palestinians had for them to drop out and
Unless
boycott.
that money
There
was
never
to
any
be sent to the cause. I don't know if that was for her to raise funds.
Fair, if that is the cause,
Mhm.
then okay.
so these contestants would be able to say anything about Palestine because Eurovision as an institution is so far up Israel's backside, they have two sets of rules, one for Israel and one for everyone else. Eurovision is rigged for Israel. And here are some fun examples
I
to prove
wonder
it.
why.
Number one, last
Yeah.
year the reason Israel's president got involved was because Israel was submitting a propaganda song about October 7th, explicitly breaking the rules to not politicize or instrumentalize the contest. When other countries had tried to submit political songs, such as Belarus in 2021, they had only one chance to fix it before being booted out. Israel, on the other hand, not only got multiple chances, they didn't even really change the lyrics much in the end, and it's still clear what the song is about.
Really? Let's see.
Every day I'm losing my mind, same. Holding on this mysterious ride, same. Dancing in the storm, same. We got nothing to hide, I got nothing to hide. Take me home, take it all, and leave the world behind and leave the world same. And I promise you that never again, baby, promise you'll hold me again. I'm still wet from this October rain. I'm still broken from this hurricane. I mean, it's
It's
changed
changed.
all right. Nah, it's changed all
It's
right.
changed.
It completely loses it goes from being about whatever the cause was, October rain,
yeah.
into a love song.
Completely take out
Yeah.
October.
Well, baby, promise me you'll hold me again. That's like a love reference.
Mm.
So like on the like if you, cause honestly, to me, first time reacting to, it, I didn't know what the fuck it was about. I didn't get nothing to do with nothing. It just was a regular song. So nah, now we're reaching there. No, I don't see. This is revised sufficiently for me.
Not to mention how obvious it is that when your president gets involved, that this has probably become political. But Eurovision.
But how
didn't
many
care about
times they had opportunity to revise? They say.
Well, Belarus got once, and when they didn't revise, they got kicked. So
Okay, and then
I don't know. How
didn't
many
say.
times. I don't know.
that, and Israel got special treatment and was allowed to participate. Number two, Russia was kicked out of the contest in 2022, with Eurovision organisers, the EBU, explicitly stating that they were given the boot due to the unprecedented crisis in Ukraine, which meant that having Russia in the contest would bring the contest into disrepute. People don't like war criminals in their music competition.
Oh,
But not only
I think
was
it's
Israel not
similar. Like
subject to the
you know what NATO does is if you fighting, if both parties are fighting, you cannot enter into NATO. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why Israel shouldn't have been able to participate.
same treatment, but Eurovision went out of its way to lie and rewrite history to defend Israel, stating that actually they didn't kick Russia out because of Ukraine, they kicked them out based on a technicality. So actually, in fact,
What?
there's nothing they can do about Israel.
Wait,
In
what's
the
the
case of
technicality?
Russia, the Russian broadcasters themselves were suspended from the EBU due to persistent breaches of membership obligations and violations.
I remember them saying
I
that.
remember when we did the guy about all the countries that got removed
Mhm.
from Eurovision or whatever. He did say that about the EBU
Mhm.
Russian.
So what was that
It wasn't
previous
about the
article
war.
about?
I don't know, but he
Can
did
you
say
go back
that.
to the previous article?
This? What you want to see?
Go back again. From competing over Ukraine. Okay, play.
But not only was Israel not subject to the same treatment, but Eurovision went out of its way to lie
Oh,
and rewrite
no, you didn't go
history to
back enough.
defend Israel, stating that actually they didn't kick Russia out because of Ukraine. They kicked them out based on a
In the
technicality.
previous
So
article, it
actually,
says
in fact, there's nothing
why
that
they were kicked out.
Who?
In the article before this one. Yes.
I don't.
Play.
you explicitly stating that they were given the
This.
boot due to the unprecedented
Here.
The decision reflects concern that in the light of a precedent crisis in Ukraine, the inclusion of Russian entry in this year's contest will bring the competition into dispute.
It says it reflects concern, though. Is that what the article is saying, or what the competition is saying? That's the I need clarity.
The decision reflects concern that in light of the unprecedented crisis in Ukraine,
I think that's what the article said.
that's what on Eurovision website. That's what Eurovision is saying.
Oh. Yeah, that's inconsistent.
Yeah, so they are being
They're,
inconsistent.
they're rewriting
Actually,
history.
in fact, there's nothing they can do about Israel. They had no choice but to uplift Israel's propaganda song under pressure from the Israeli government. Whoopsie daisy. Unfortunately for them, they forgot to delete the original statement from the Eurovision website, so we can still see that this is fucking bullshit. Number 3. When
Yeah, the number 2 is a valid
Ooh,
point. I don't
yeah.
really. Number 1, I don't
Yeah,
see that's a
that's
valid
enough.
point. But,
That's enough
but
to
number
say it's
2
rigged.
is a valid point.
It's
yeah.
rigged. That's
Well,
enough. That's
rigged,
enough.
rigged is maybe not the word. Cause rigged.
It's
when
not
you
fair?
when you hear rigged, you think of okay, they're gonna win.
Oh no.
I do. Well, to me, rigged is rigged for
Rigged
winning.
means you're not gonna lose. I can't guarantee
Well,
you win, but you're not gonna lose.
Number 2 is a loss, so it's
Well, they let
did
you
last
play.
year.
You get to participate.
Yeah, let's see number 3.
Israel hosted Eurovision in 2019, they broadcast illegally occupied Palestinian and Syrian territories, pretending that they belong to Israel. Occupying these territories is a crime under international law, and Eurovision just allowed them to whitewash that crime to 180 million viewers across the globe. Great job, Eurovision. So much for being
I
apolitical.
don't understand.
Number 4.
I
Last
don't understand.
I don't understand that.
Go
either.
back and let me hear it again.
illegally occupied Palestinian and Syrian territories, pretending that they belong to Israel. Occupying these territories is a crime under international law, and Eurovision just allowed them to whitewash that crime to 180 million viewers across the globe. Great job, Eurovision. So much for being apolitical. Number 4.
Not sure what that has to do with Eurovision. I don't know. That's a bad point.
Last year,
I
Yes
don't
Klein
understand
was disqualified
it.
in the middle of the contest for apparently making an inappropriate gesture at a camera person when he was being filmed without his consent. So, the Netherlands was just gone from Eurovision 2024. Okay, so that's that. However, the Israeli team was apparently constantly harassing people, filming them even without their consent behind the scenes, and the Israeli commentators were calling contestants things like Hamas supporters and sons of Amalek. And yet, they were not disqualified. The Norwegian band even had to ask for extra security because of the Israeli broadcaster, and Bambi Thug says the EBU told them privately that Israeli commentators did break the rules. But that's okay. Israel still went through to the final. Number 5. The EBU.
Wait, but
Interesting.
maybe for this one, I don't see it as strong because it has to be the contestant itself and not the people like the outside staff, like the commentators. Because with yours, it was him, specifically him and the media. For Israel, it was just the media towards the contestants, not the Israel contestant themselves.
EBU has previously banned broadcasters who failed to uphold media freedom, such as the Belarus BTRC. The EBU says journalists should be impartial and independent. And yet Khan, the Israeli broadcaster, is nothing but a mouthpiece for the Israeli military. They broadcast a genocidal song about how Israel will annihilate everyone in Gaza, and Khan's presenters have signed missiles headed into Gaza. They were spreading lies about hospitals, kindergartens,
bad.
schools, and mosques in Gaza being Hamas headquarters. And every time Israel kills civilians, Khan reports that in fact Israel has killed terrorists. But the EBU has somehow decided this type of reporting is impartial and independent, so Israel can stay while Belarus is banned. Number 6.
Wow.
I don't know. I
That-
disagree with this point. I mean,
I don't know.
to
I
me,
disagree with
this
you.
is Israel's. If Israel's as a country, that's their view. So that's being impartial. Their view is that
So
the other
what ab-
parties is a terrorist. So they're
So
in their
what-
view, that's what they're doing.
So what
they are
about
being-
Belarus? When Belarus does the same thing and they are not allowed to participate, where is the fairness? Because that's the issue. Because why only
You're
apply
right,
to
yeah.
one and not the other?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
2.5. Rigged.
Yeah, you're right.
During Israel's performance last year, audience boos were apparently edited out and replaced by fake cheers. So despite audiences' explicit disapproval of Israel's participation, literally due to crimes against humanity, due to genocide, the record of that day has been altered. History rewritten in real time to convince the world that Europe approves of Israel's participation. Even the audience who paid
I don't
to be
think
there
it's
thinking they could
approved to
protest
the
in person
world.
by
Only, I
booing
guess,
became
to
complicit
Israel's population that the footage was altered. But the world saw it.
in this propaganda against their will. Number 7. But
That was a weak point. Number 6 now.
you would also think Europe loved Israel last year because they came second place in the Televote. Wow. Except that this was also dodgy. The State of Israel's official social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, posted content asking people around the world to vote for the song up to 20 times to try and win them the public vote. It was a massive campaign with Israeli embassies all over the world showing voting instructions and the government paying for targeted ads. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs publicly admitted to astroturfing the vote. The goal was to get people who would otherwise never even watch Eurovision to vote for Israel in a coordinated campaign. And the charts confirm that's what happened. The Israeli song wasn't charting anywhere, even in the countries which gave them 12 points, and where people were listening to other Eurovision songs. But afterwards, the Israeli media used this manufactured televote to prove that actually
This
everyone supports Israel. The silent majority is in
I
favor
don't
of
know.
their genocidal violence, actually. And
I
with
don't know if
literally
Eurovision
editing
has a rule to say, oh, you cannot promote for people to vote
Yeah,
for your contestant.
to me, this has
because-
nothing to do with Eurovision.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, you got money, you're going to push your.
Yeah.
Why-
It just looks tacky a little bit as an outsider. Like you're using money to carry sway to win, and people don't actually listen to the
Yeah,
song.
I mean, if you have money to blow.
Yeah, but then it kind of ruins the sport of Eurovision.
I agree,
And I think
but
maybe then we shouldn't rely on televotes to actually give win, or televotes shouldn't weigh as heavy.
that's the whole issue. That if the
Oh.
if the jury is gonna, people are if anything, making claim for the televotes to weigh heavier than now.
But now, if you can buy and pay, people who have the most money can win. All the other countries, no chance.
But that's how it always worked, though.
I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan.
booze out, they played into that narrative.
Because for
Number
me, I
8.
want the best song to win.
No, I agree. I mean, the only way that would make Eurovision is being for that point it would break if it was against the rules, if they outlawed that and the Eurovision rules,
But that's how they make their
and
money.
then let Israel still do it while other countries couldn't do it. Then I would say it is great
Yeah.
for Israel, but in this case, not really. I mean, they just got bigger pockets. Not even bigger pockets. They care more than everybody else. Because I'm sure there's countries that have bigger pockets than Israel. They just didn't care enough to invest money into it.
If you're still wondering why none of the contestants were able to make any substantial gestures of solidarity with Palestinians last year, it's because they were being patted down airport style before going on stage to make sure they wouldn't bring on any Palestinian symbols. The contestants were basically locked in the green room to prevent any political props coming in. And all of this just to protect Israel. The whole contest was rigged to make sure.
Or maybe
no
they
one could
just didn't
criticize
want
Israel's
their attention to be taken away into political causes.
participation. No one could even mention Palestinians, and the world would, for the most part, believe that Israel is fully.
I mean, but why would we mention Palestinians at a music show, though? In what context would that even come up? Like, I understand why we want to turn a music show into like a politics competition here. Like,
I think in the world of sports too, as well, when there's conflict, those countries are not necessarily allowed to participate. He's like kind of a way to kind of punish and reward good behavior. Because then if you can be good, you can participate in these world events that are super fun. And if you're being naughty, then you don't get to have fun with us. That's how I see it. Because participating in Eurovision is a privilege, not a right.
you just brought sports, and interesting thought came to my mind. So how is mentioning Palestine or like your cause against, for Palestine against Israel or whatever, how is that different than Colin Kaepernick taking the knee?
They gave him problems for that too.
I know, but eventually, we got to a point that, that you can't take knees, or like, Black Lives Matter NBA, they had jerseys.
Even the Olympics, they took stands like with a protest with the fist hand up in the Olympics by black athletes. I just think that,
So They should be able to take a
They
form
should
of
be able
protest.
to, but of course, the organization at the end of the day is a private organization, and it's a privilege.
So is the NBA, the
Mm-hmm.
NFL, any
Mm-hmm. But the thing
sports
is what is
organizations.
the public opinion gonna look like, and that matters too. The investments, what's that look like too as well? Participation, this is just not just
Hmm.
one event. This is an event that's gonna go on for years to come. So it's gonna be a conflict overall to how these companies manage and handle this. It's not
I
easy.
guess let me put it this way: if these people on the stage wanted to take a stand, there was ways to do. They could have done it.
Yeah, it's just you have to
I
be
think they
prepared
didn't
for
want
the
to do it. Yeah,
consequences.
there would have
And
been
they're not
consequences.
at the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
space like those other athletes who are in the Olympics,
yeah.
who are on bigger
Yes.
platforms because they have money to lose. Like, for example, an NFL player can protest not speaking to the media and can afford to pay the $100,000 fine. Now, can someone like
Yeah.
them do this?
Yeah.
No.
That's the thing. I think we expect too much of these
And the
artists. Yeah.
and the companies know that. Eurovision knows that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Loved
Okay.
and accepted at Eurovision.
It's not their fight. It's
I
not
think
we can't put this fight onto these artists.
Yeah,
It's not their
I
job.
think that's why yours was a little bit more bolder because I seen the consequences. It's not too much for him. Even though it was important for him, I don't think the consequences would have been as heavy as someone else who's like a starting artist and this is their first time debuting, having their music heard
Mm.
by the world.
And across Europe. Israeli journalists and politicians have both admitted that Eurovision is not just a music competition for Israel, it's a political advocacy tool. Netanyahu himself called the last Israeli Eurovision victory exceptional foreign relations work. Their government has no reservations in taking full advantage, sending political songs, the president meddling in the competition, the government paying to AstroTurf the Televote.
I
breaking
see
every
that
rule, and Eurovision
because honestly, what's an issue for me too that they need to change the rules for is the songs has to be coming from the contestant, not from the government. To me, how come the government decide what song you're singing?
Mm.
just lets them. While Eurovision aired last year, Israel was bombing and slaughtering Palestinian civilians. But what was on the front page of BBC News the next morning? Not the protests, not the bombings, but Nemo won Eurovision. The competition
It's
has
a
been
little
turned into a
awkward,
propaganda
but
program for Israel, creating an image that Israel is just like all of these other countries and not a settler colony on trial for genocide whose prime minister is wanted for crimes against humanity. Eurovision would have you believe that Europe loves Israel, when in reality, their public image has never been worse. There have been huge petitions and protests calling it the
here
genocide
too
song
in the
contest,
States,
complaints from
the
participating broad
image of Israel, we don't get all these news to understand like the
Yeah,
ugly
honestly,
side.
I don't know nothing about what's going on in
Yeah,
Israel.
they don't show you that here
Yeah.
at least.
broadcasters, major headlines calling last year's Eurovision controversial and more political than ever before. This is disrepute, and bringing the competition into disrepute is against Eurovision's rules. But they don't care about their own rules, not when it comes to Israel. And that should be clear to anyone participating. You can't be a voice for Palestine in Eurovision because Eurovision is pro-Israel. If you participate in Eurovision, you become a tool of Israeli propaganda. Period. And even the influencers are corrupted.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, then that's a good point. Just if you want to
Mm,
be pro-Palestine, don't participate in Eurovision. I think that's we can
yeah, you
establish
don't
that.
have to
Yeah, we
participate.
can establish that baseline. Eurovision is a Israeli mouthpiece. No, and if you participate in Eurovision, you become a part of that mouthpiece. That's it. So if you're pro-Palestine, don't participate. I think we can establish that as baseline, and
I
that's
don't
it.
know. This
Instead
that's
of
that's to me is odd.
asking these artists to ruin their careers to pro-Palestine,
I
like
don't
why? What
know.
for? Like they need lives too. Like
I don't know.
wow.
I think Eurovision needs to get this pushback to make,
Why Israel
adjustments
brings the money? They're about their business. They're about money. Why would they do?
because it's kind of taking away the purpose of Eurovision.
Mm, not
And
from
this is
their
not
perspective.
the
From their
focus.
perspective, the purpose of Eurovision is money, and they're making it.
No, but the focus is not to promote one country as opposed to another. It's to showcase talent.
But they're not promoting one country instead of another.
They are in a way.
No, they're not. Israel promoting themselves because they got the pockets and they're running these ads.
They
Eurovision is
are
not
in a way if you
doing that.
don't create fair rules where
What's fair
one
rules?
country is consistently breaking the rules and getting a pass, and
Okay,
other
in that sense.
countries have a history of being excluded from the
Okay,
competition.
well,
When you have this
here's
kind of
an example
exclusion,
for you.
it is wrong.
Right, NATO is all
I don't care
democratic,
for NATO, I
democratic.
care for Eurovision.
Then there's shit going down in Turkey. We seeing some sort of form of dictatorship. You guess what NATO do? Nothing. They need Turkey in NATO because they need the military. So guess what? They're bending the
But
rules.
but
Same shit.
do they get pushed back?
No.
Articles
pushing back?
articles are written about NATO
Nobody's
giving the
pushing back.
criticism and
Nobody's pushing
everything.
back. So it's the
It's
same
not
thing.
no, but you
This
don't.
It's when it's convenient. You don't.
I just don't
push
think.
the big powers
I
when you
just
need
don't
them. It's
think.
that's how it
I
works.
just don't think everyone has to pretend they don't see anything. I think people should be having the opportunity to talk about it and criticize about it and see how Eurovision moves. I feel like if everyone is free to talk, open space for this conversation, then we can move forward. But I'm not gonna pretend that I see injustice and just be okay with that, because next thing you know, it can be
Okay,
another
then
country
boycott
they do
Eurovision
that.
if you're not gonna pretend.
That doesn't no that boycotting, you have to be very strategic. Not watching
That's literally
not
how they
watching.
lose money is if you're
Okay.
not watching and not
No, you
voting.
know what helps is commentary. People commenting and having a discussion about bringing awareness to it.
Nah,
Because
what helps is ignoring it.
the purpose, see this video, how it helped me. I didn't understand why there's like this big commotion with Israel and Eurovision, because we don't get this news here in the States. So for us to even see something like this is triggering something to a thought in me to have an understanding. Okay, there's unfairness and people are justified to being upset about it, because we saw at least two occasions.
Two,
That's
I
not
agree
fair.
too. Yeah.
That's not fair. And I don't like competitions where, okay, you someone cheating and they're able to pass. I don't like that. That doesn't make it interesting for me.
Okay, so stop watching it. That's the only thing you can do is boycott it.
No, you make it
Yes.
sound like that's the only thing.
That is
It
literally
is not the only
you can do.
thing.
By Eurovision's rules so they can get their press passes. WeWeBlogs, the biggest Eurovision influencer, reports on the genocide only as if they're spilling the tea, and otherwise just treats Israel like any other contestant.
Oh, I really like this. This is so beautiful. This is so tastefully done.
Influencers all know that they have to tone down their criticisms of
I
Israel.
mean, listen.
feel like-
now we're coming
yeah.
for reactors. When we,
Yeah,
hold
no,
on.
I feel like, yeah, they're talking on a point. Let me see what you're gonna say.
No, like
That's what you're gonna say.
I judge these songs based
Uh-huh.
on the songs. That's it. So this song, Yuval Raphael,
Which one?
The new this year's. The song is mediocre song. I don't give a fuck. If it was up to me, leave it in semifinal. Nothing special about the song, and that was my reaction. It was like, okay, like it was.
It's because people are afraid to say what they really want to say because they could think that a country can bully them or the comments can bully you into a thought that's not yours.
But at the same time, I feel like this maker, this YouTuber expects the YouTube for us to take a stand against
Influencers.
Israel now because of their politics. Like, no, I'm judging the song based on the song. I'm not judging it's another political competition. As a reactor, I'm sitting here seeing what the song gives. The song gave me average, so that's what was my reaction.
The thing
Average
is,
song.
for me, I'm a person, so I can listen to the song and I tell you how I feel. Then I listen to the song again, and then I see or find out later that this person has these type of mindsets that are counter against my mindset, and I don't agree with. That does changes my outlook to how I view the song, because I cannot willfully support someone's song knowing their mindset behind this. To me, it's just like something I can't do. So like, for example, with Serbia, I thought that song was quite beautiful, but after hearing what's going on, how can you support this song? It's just like,
No, I get it, but I'm saying I didn't even like the song to begin with.
yeah, but like, let's say if you did truly like the song and you find out, like,
I
other
wouldn't support
contestants in
it.
Serbia too as well, that we like their performance, but then we learn about their outlook on life. It's just like, I can't support that.
No, I wouldn't support it. Yeah, but I'm just saying this song was
Mm-hmm.
mid to me, but it wasn't like
And
that's not even my point I was
But for
making. I
my-
wasn't gonna make a reaction about the song and get into politics about it.
Yeah,
Palestine, 'cause that's
but-
not what
but I
I'm
think-
reacting on the song.
But I think it's even bigger than that, because you see in Serbia, for example, or like, was it Serbia? Like, some contestants, they didn't get to pass through because people were like, oh, no. So it took the government getting involved to actually get like a person to be submitted to win, because who we expected for Serbia to win was not the person who won.
Israel if they want that precious access, and thereby also become complicit in this. We've also seen a lot of the fandom theorizing that because the Eurovision sponsor Moroccan Oil is Israeli, they dictate whether or not Israel stays in the competition, and therefore there's no point in boycotting while Moroccan Oil is still a sponsor. And while no reputable sources support this theory, even if you do believe that one of the
Oh,
biggest TV
I've
shows
seen
in the world is at the
them.
mercy of one shampoo company, this is just all the more reason to boycott the show, not an excuse to stop caring. Palestinians are very clear about Eurovision.
What
If you want to help
Moroccan
them,
oil has
you
to do
have
with anything?
boycott. Viewers shouldn't
They're the sponsor of Eurovision, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
watch. Participants should drop out, and fans and influencers should stop creating free promo. Cultural boycott
Right,
is a
that's what I
well-established
said.
tool for resisting violence.
Boycotted
When
them.
Palestinians are asking us to boycott Eurovision, they're asking us based on strategies that helped defeat apartheid in South Africa. You know what's weird? There's no rule against genociders participating in Eurovision. And that has to change. We are talking about real human lives here, people dying, children dying, mass slaughter, and Eurovision trying to convince Europe that actually we all support it. This is normal, this is fine. But in years to come, when you look back on these times, what do you want to remember about your choices when the world was on fire? Did you stoke the flames? Or did you at least try to extinguish them?
So he's saying you want to be pretty much on the right side of history. And he's saying that these contestants are not doing enough, but that's easier said than done. And I like I said before in the beginning, I cannot put all the responsibilities for these contestants to take stand for what the governments are being paid to do. That's their responsibility. Yes, if they if they truly want to participate and do their kind of stance to show their stance, then they should be free to do so, but also understand what is the consequences of standing up for your decisions. Can we see the comments? Let me see the comments. But from based on this video, I saw 2 points that strongly makes a case to how Eurovision has rigged for the game for Israel.
Sure, love how no politics almost always benefits the oppressors. Small tidbit of info as someone who has worked with delegations in the past. The contracts the artists sign often contain clauses for significant monetary penalizations, can show breach, and sometimes they contain non-disclosure agreements. So yeah, that's what we said basically. It's like you expect these artists to put their careers and money on the line. It's not their cause. They have their own causes, not this. And like with Nemo, his cause is LGBTQ, not Palestine.
Yeah, and I think you see that those other messages shown in Eurovision that we haven't historically seen in earlier years, because from what I've seen from Eurovision, it went from being, very like kind of stiff, very like serious,
Boring.
not boring, but it's
Boring.
very uptight, to now being open to a lot of communities being able to participate. And just to see that is just like transformation itself. So I don't think people should refuse the opportunity to go and participate in Eurovision, because I don't think you should just leave space for those who are oppressing just to occupy the space. I think everyone should go ahead and participate and let it be what it is. That's it. Hey guys, of course this was heavy, so let's, I'm not gonna moderate adults in the comments. So of course, as always, we share kindness here, so do that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.